incorporate other people, it enhances everything. That was powerful. Wow. Holy, I feel like crying after that. Guys, we're back for the final video in this series. We're gonna do more, but we did a big batch of what I thought you guys wanted to see, so now we're gonna leave it up to you on what you wanna see more details on of how we made certain videos. Today, we're going into a very, very special video where I went on tour with the Chainsmokers to Australia and South Africa, two of my favorite places. South Africa, I actually studied abroad there for 3 months. This was my first time back, so it was awesome to come back with such a big artist and such a polar opposite reason. One was for school, one was for work with a massive A-list artist. And today we're diving into something really, really specific to what you guys have requested in the past is what is it like to tour with the Chainsmokers and how do you shoot your tour videos for them. So we're diving into that today, and this tour is perfect for it because it has all the stops. So if you're new here and you don't know how I'm connected with the Chainsmokers, a guy named Rory Kramer, I DM'd him about like 3-4 years ago, did some work for him, shot some behind the scenes for the Chainsmokers. Rory had to step out for a little bit and I filled in, and then me and him kind of peppered back and forth, and we kind of just both help out the Chainsmokers whenever they need us. And so I'm one of a couple guys that shoot their videos. The last year I've been doing a lot of their videos on the road, and also a few lyric videos and music videos that we actually covered in this series before about Beach House and the Hope video. Be sure to go check those out. We'll link them down below. But today we're diving into the tour video, and I'm very, very excited because this video specifically, it's like we're friends now. I've been working with these guys for 2.5 years, and there's like a clear connection with the artists in this video where we're not necessarily just showing their concert footage, but we're showing a lot of intimate moments of off the stage and their personalities and who they hang out with and what they do in their off time. What I want to do in this video is show you guys kind of my process and what I'm thinking when I'm shooting certain situations, both in the field and in post-production when I go to edit them. So first things first, diving into how you shoot a tour with an artist. It changes with every artist that you tour with. Chainsmokers specifically, we travel totally carry-on only, so you can't check in a bag when you fly with them. And that's a big deal. Think about the last time that you traveled with just a carry-on bag. I literally have a bag right here that I travel with. Boom, this takes my whole life. Right here, I'm literally packing it right now and to go back on tour with them. But my whole life fits inside this and a backpack, which is over here too. I'm gonna grab, it's show and tell. Boom, a low pro thingamahiggy tactical something. I don't know which one it is, but those two bags, these two bags are the ones that I use. And my whole life fits inside them. That's everything. You don't have, that's like clothes, all your camera gear, stabilizers, tripods, whatever you need has to fit inside those two bags, and we carry them everywhere, which is ridiculous. Basically, my suitcase is about 40% clothes, 60% gear, and then my backpack is 100% gear. That's like the best way to travel now. Like I don't travel at all with any more things than that, even when I'm going on vacation, because then you're just lugging like way too much stuff around and it's more of like a burden. You gotta be really nimble and thoughtful with your gear. You gotta think about how you wanna shoot it beforehand. And to do that and to pack so lightly, I travel with Sony gear, and I usually bring around 2 to 3 different lenses. I always try to bring something super wide for concerts, and then I kind of mix up my other 2 lenses, or sometimes I just bring one other lens to try to challenge myself and just simplify the process. For this one specifically, we weren't really in water or anything, so I didn't bring a GoPro or any underwater cameras like that, so that kind of simplified the whole packing list. And then something else that I knew going into this was that there was days off. So basically, when you go on a tour, sometimes it's like 7 days, and there's 7 shows in a row, and then you just fly home, and there's like no time off. This one, we had 4 days off in South Africa. I think 2 of those 4 days were with Drew and Alex, the Chainsmokers, and the other 2 days they were actually on a private show where they just had to fly in, play a show, and fly back. And so they had 2 days off. So I knew there was gonna be time to explore a little bit in South Africa and incorporate a lot of offstage footage. And so I kind of took that approach into this video. Another thing, which was like a dream come true, was Drew wanted to start integrating singing to the camera, kind of like a music video. would normally do into this recap. And he just said, hey man, like whenever you see a cool moment, pull us aside and say, sing this song, and then just cue up the song on your phone, and we'll just sing like one take of it. And if it works, it works. And if it doesn't, whatever, we'll move on. We'll just do that like 10 times and you can pull the best ones. So I thought when we were on the road, I was like, you know what, why don't I just stick to the same song and we'll do different versions of that song. So in this recap, I used Hope and I used 3 different remixes of the song. I think I had 3 different remixes. I might use the original on one. Why I think this tour has everything in it is that it has epic locations, time off, and just like a really dedicated artist that's incorporated in the video. They're excited about it. And there's a remix in here that I was so excited to use. So having music beforehand, knowing what you're gonna edit to, just makes all the difference in this. Now I'm gonna show you kind of what my thought process was while I was editing it, and we'll go through this video together, and there'll be some funny stories along the way as well. So editing wise, off the beginning, I think I had the vocal stem from Drew, or I think Alex sent it to me, just like just the vocal only, the acapella version of the song. And then I think I just layered on a ton of different sound effects to match up with the visuals. And so you kind of hear this acapella and just sound design that's like a little bit of abstract sound design. It's not like what you would expect to be hearing. I love the penguins here at 7 seconds. There's like this zoomed in. I did this in the Adidas video. We also did a how we shot it video just like this for the Adidas. We'll link it down below. But we use a similar effect where it's like a fake eyeball, essentially, like a POV angle, and there's like an eyelash. And it's kind of zoomed and warped, and it gives you this like super crazy abstract POV perspective. And I'm like shooting low from the penguins look, and there's like an eyelash, and I just cut all the music into this like really deep bass that almost like kind of like peaks your speaker. And that was totally intentional, and I thought it just created like a really cool vibe where in 7 seconds you normally be like, oh, I get the vibe of this, and then this like cuts all the sound but this deep bass, and it kind of like sucks you back in to the video. So I'm just really trying to create a vibe at the beginning of this video and show you kind of like what you're stepping into. There's some funny moments of Alex chasing a bird, and then I love cutting to raw audio at like 15 seconds from like the live show, which was awesome. And I think this like right here where the titles are kind of coming out during 26 seconds is it's a remix that I found on SoundCloud. It's like an unofficial one, and this guy had the dopest intros before the actual drop hit. The drops weren't my favorite, but I loved his intros, and so I just like stole that one little like I would have, and then it just keeps repeating. And then there's like a bass hit, which was really cool. Okay, so like what is that kid? The apparently kid. He's like he's like a viral kid on YouTube. He screams apparently.
And apparently, I've never been on live television before.
We actually reached out to him and I said, yo, can you do a voiceover for this video? Like I'm like dying to do a voiceover with this kid. Somebody's gonna copy me from watching this video. But I'm like reaching out to his team and saying, can you do a full voiceover for a Chainsmoker recap video? And his team hasn't gotten back to me, but we really want him. And so I just jacked his audio clip and threw it in there. Because the guys were on TV, the kid says apparently I'm on live television. So clever, so clever, so creative.
Feels like I'm giving birth.
Okay, in this moment where Alex said he felt like he was giving birth, he had like this massive pimple on his back, but it ended up being a spider bite, which I said was a spider bite this whole time. And behind him is Dom, Clancy's girlfriend, who is a legend on tour and helps out with everything. She was dedicated to help Alex out, and he was screaming in the green room. I think this was after this one of the smaller shows that they played, like a press show, like a private showing for a radio. Funny moment though. 38 seconds, such an epic moment. I've literally been touring for 2.5 years with Chainsmokers, and I haven't seen this happen yet, where Drew or somebody just climbs one of like the poles that's holding up the stage, and Drew just went for it, and it was in front of a massive crowd in front of Sydney, and it was awesome. I was shooting with the Ronin S, and I had like the stands on the bottom, and I clapped the stands and I just lifted it up as high as I could. So you were kind of like above the crowd with Drew, which was an awesome moment. This whole cassette tape thing that you see, it's like a POV. I shot it with a GoPro. It's actually inside of my house where I'm shooting this right now. And it was like I was editing all this footage together, and I said there has to be some sort of connective tissue between Remix 1, Remix 2, and Remix 3 of Hope. And they all had a different vibe, and I wanted to go for that. And so it's like a minor detail. Nobody's really paying attention, I think, to like what's written on the cassettes. But I came up with this idea where me, or this general character, is kind of like peppering through the different vibes that you're about to go into. So the first one says like The Dream, and you see this remix that says like it's kind of like this dreamy vibe, and the next one says like The Dark Side or something like that. That was something that I just shot like when the video was 80% done and I just needed connective tissue, and I just made the creative decision to go through with it. And I think stuff like this is where concert recap videos are going, because we've seen 1,000 concert recaps. Concerts are happening every single night, and editors are editing every single night new recaps, but it's finding new ways to incorporate, or it's finding new ways to change what recaps mean and what they look like. And I think it's stuff like this, where it's not necessarily the artist doing their thing, but it's the vibe and energy that they're trying to portray in their videos. And in this case, it's just a general person changing up the vibe with a cassette player, which happens to be me in my house. High production, baby. High production. I use this like effect pack that was like being Instagram added all over to everybody, where here at 55 seconds, you see like these weird like neon lights going in. Super simple, just layered on. And you'll see those peppered throughout the kind of whole video. I did this like weird keyframe thing that wasn't like the smoothest or anything, but kind of just to bring people into different scenes. And I think I did that because there was such great response on my Cayman Islands video that I did for the Chainsmokers that did something very similar, and I thought I'd just pepper it back in again because it got such a great response online, which is important. Listen to people that like your videos, and if they like something, run with it and build on top of it. Don't just repeat it. My favorite shot in this whole thing is this shot of the lampshade and the one of Drew standing above the crowd in Sydney. But it's just like, I think it's just a mature shot to throw into. Like me, a year ago, I wouldn't have added this shot in because it made no sense. But I knew this was a longer paced video, and by like adding this shot kind of just shows the energy of the room, and it totally does provide the energy of the room. There's like pipes right there, a really dope lampshade, and then like a broken ceiling beam to the right. And you're maybe not comprehending all of that, but you're catching a vibe when like Drew or Alex was playing the piano. And that was the same room. Like if you look at the piano where Alex is playing, there's like a little speakeasy bar in the back, and it was just like such a sick vibe. And I think when we were in Melbourne then, and yeah, Jeremiah, me, myself, 2 years ago wouldn't have put that in. And because the video is a longer one, I wanted people to catch a vibe, I just included it in. And I was like proud of myself for doing that, because social media tells you just gotta hit the best stuff first. Swapping the cassette players, that's in front of my house. And this was, we were on a drive, and Drew was like, this is a crazy lookout. And he's like, do you want to shoot here? And I was like, let's do it. I added some like film grain in post to give it kind of like an edgier vibe, because we were going into an edgier song. And this is actually the remix that like I was so hyped to use. It also has a different BPM, beats per minute, of the first track, and I think the last track I used. So it was really tricky. So I had Drew singing to one version of Hope, so I kind of messed that up. He was singing off time, and I hid that by doing a lot of cuts. And you can see like when he starts singing at 1:22, I cut around it. I thought I'd get it back when you came back home. It's just so this shot actually of Sydney going through the palm tree, I had shot prior on a trip, and I just remembered that I had extra drone footage from there, so I just tossed it on in there, making it work, which isn't off limits. Like if you're not a traveling videographer yet with DJs, but you're on tour and maybe it's just like a weekend, you don't have time to go explore, find friends that you know have been to that place and say, hey, can I incorporate a couple clips from your previous travels to incorporate into this video to enhance it more? Just because you do that doesn't mean it's their video, and it also doesn't mean that you just made this by yourself. They helped you, but like, you know the work that you put into this, and it's 99%, and someone helped you out with a couple clips to enhance it. Give them a shout. You know, if your friend wants like full crazy credit, like maybe that's not the right friend, but finding other ways to incorporate other clips is like a huge way to maximize your 1 or 2 days on the road with an artist. And the artist is hiring you to make something awesome, not to like boost your own ego and your own resume. They're just like, they want the best video possible. And the best video possible sometimes is bringing other people into it. And I think that's something that everybody on social media is just so fixated on themselves about. And it's just so dumb, and it's just diluting their end product and who they are as a creative and a creator. It's selfish, incorporate other people, it enhances everything. That was powerful, wow. Holy, I felt like crying after that. This whole slap of Drew, that was not planned. I think he just slapped on a drop. And I just keyframed to the right, and then I went into this drone shot that I got in, I don't even remember where that was. That was in South Africa. Drones at concerts too, just get someone else to do it. Like, it's so sketchy, and there's approvals that need to be made. There's always someone flying. Make friends with them, get their email, get a couple clips from them after the show, or email them right away. I flew that day, but I literally flew for one song and I got down because I'm not trying to like spend half of the show doing it. So I literally had the 2 clips that worked. All the other ones were like not tight at all. Oh, what a heavy drop. It's absurd. It's literally the hardest remix of all time. So I actually used a mixture of raw audio and the actual MP3 of the remix. And the first one that you hear is raw audio. Ton of TOBK Twitch effects in there. I was super hyped on. And this raw clip I posted on my Instagram, it's so sick. This shakiness that you're seeing at 152, I'm actually shooting on a Ronin S, and I'm shooting very stable. I'm adding a lot of movement to it, but it's stabilized. And I think movement's key, especially for more than just like 5 seconds. You kind of like move fast for 5 seconds and you feel like an idiot because you look like an idiot, but you just got to keep going, because if you're trying to create a really dope, vibey, raw clip for 30 seconds, you got to keep going. So we'll do a whole nother video on how to create an epic raw clip at a show, because a lot of people try doing it, and a lot of people fail. And there's a lot of reasons why you're failing, and I'll explain later. Yeah, I added all the shakiness in post-production, and I think that gives me the versatility to have a smooth shot if I want it later on, and you know, I can always make it shaky if I want to. But if I made it shaky when I shot it there, I'm just kind of committing to one creative route. And in that moment, I didn't know exactly what I was making. So when we see Matt, I cut to the real MP3 track for a minute. And then when I come back over Drew and Alex's shoulder, it's raw audio. And I don't know if people are paying attention to it or not. I feel like it's such a minor detail that maybe I'm just noticing. But I gotta believe that there's some kind of subconscious energy that's going into the viewer of being that close to the artist, that are making eye contact, like Drew's staring straight at the camera at 158, and you're seeing this raw audio that's a little bit more distorted. And I think it's giving you, like, as a viewer, a different space inside that show, whether you're far away or you're close right next to the artist. And that's what it feels like in the booth. It's so loud and so distorted. It's just crazy. Right here, at 2 minutes, I did this like freeze frame, and all I'm doing is grabbing a freeze frame, keyframing into the fire, and then I'm keyframing out, and then I just play the clip again, and add some like little bit of shakiness into it, just so it's not so Krispy Kreme, you know? Thought I'd throw that in there. But this was crazy. Kind of go into a montage after this, away from the raw moment clip. And I think why this section's so powerful is because there's such a strong presence of the raw clip. Like, there's a raw video of this remix getting played live, and then you're seeing montage being incorporated in that, and then we're always cutting back to the live scene. So when you're looking at this looks like a 20 camera angle recap of this one song, which that's not the case. I'm just like a one-man guy shooting with one camera and one angle. But because we crushed the live presence of this song, which I knew I wanted to use for a recap, I was then able to incorporate other moments throughout the show into this montage, and it made it seem like a very cohesive piece of just like absurd energy, which there is absurd energy in the shows, but it's, you know, it's scattered throughout, and this just looks like the entire show is just crazy. Oh, another thing that I was so proud of myself on for doing, I thought was very mature, and partially it's just because I've been working with them for so long, and I have the pleasure of being able to do a music video for them, and now I get a tour with them, and I was able to throw music video content into a tour video recap. So this shot right here at 2:21 is Winona from the Hope video, and it has nothing to do with the tour, but a Chainsmoker fan would know that this is from the music video, and it's the song that you're listening to. And I thought it was just really like cohesive, like a multimedia, deeper than the tour moment, which was awesome. And I think I'm proud of it because I shot that. But now that I'm looking at it and thinking about what I said earlier, take parts of the music video that you had nothing to be a part of, but had everything to be a part of the artist, and incorporate it into your tour recap as like a secondary visual or an enhancing visual. Because at the end of the day, that this artist owns that video, and that's part of their brand. And again, you're here to make the best video. So I think now that I'm seeing this, whether I made it or not, I would still include it. Yeah, I'm gonna go do that on the next one. I'm a verbal processor. Just talk out loud and I start coming up with things. This whole spot, like this was kind of like, I think it was kind of inspired by Jas Davis, maybe a little bit. Just like a cheesy voiceover, or like somebody saying like, and now a word from our sponsors. Like really on the nose. I ripped off YouTube like a Simba Chips commercial, and it's because we had this funny raw moment with the Chainsmokers holding up these Simba chip bags during the Simba moment. This actually isn't on the YouTube version because it got copyrighted, but it's on Instagram. So if you've seen this on YouTube, you're not seeing this moment. It was hilarious. And the crowd actually got it. You can't really hear them, but the crowd definitely got it, and they were hyped, and it was hilarious. And then also another thing that you're not seeing is Alex actually throws his microphone when he rips the bag of chips open. So you'll see he has the microphone with him, and then when he jumps down, he doesn't have it with him. And if you play it like frame by frame, you see the microphone go flying. It's a big stage too. It flew all the way to the opposite side. He's got the microphone. You see this like yellow tape right here? That's the microphone. And you can see the microphone right here, and then bam, it's out of his hand. Boom. Gone. Literally flew all the way over here by the tour manager. He just took his microphone. This was a lot of the performance heavy stuff because it was a good vibe. Remix, which was awesome. This one right here that you're looking at of performance shots, that's his hotel, Drew's hotel that he was staying at. He was walking back to his room. We did one. Went on a wine tour. We just had him do 2 takes in the vineyard. We had a helicopter ride, which was really epic, and was something Drew and I had always wanted to do forever. We actually included this scene in a music video that should be out by now for Takeaway. If you haven't seen that, we'll also link that down below. Your boy directed that thing, and Drew and I have always been trying to do a music video inside a helicopter. So this was like a test run for us, very run and gun. And now we did it for a massive official music video, which was awesome in New York City. It was absurd. We had a Statue of Liberty going and everything. This is cool. This is like such a real and raw moment where Drew invites someone. He's done that several times. We invited this guy to come out to the show, or Drew did, and he said, he's like, yo, I'm going to invite this guy. He's super nice and super cool. And I was like, tell me when you're going to do it because I want to be recording. So I think the biggest advice I could ever give about touring with an artist is learning how to anticipate things. And you could say I'm bad at anticipation, but if you just listen to what people are talking about or who they're talking about, chances are something's gonna happen. So if they're talking about someone who just left the room, that person's probably gonna come back in the room and they're probably gonna engage with that person on whatever topic that they're discussing. So I heard him talking about wanting to hook this guy up, and I was waiting for it, and I was able to capture this. It happened once, it was very fast, and it was like a really, really cool moment for a viewer to be like, oh my gosh, this is the kind of guys that they are, and this is a real moment where they're just at dinner hooking someone up. Shaq's the best. Just start clapping. Fun behind the scenes moment, we met this guy who owned a house right by the Penguin Beach in South Africa, and we had the most epic like lunch sunset ever by these penguins, and he was in his house, and he threw us a massive braai, which is a South African barbecue. Martin Garrix came through. We had all our photographers. We had some friends we met at the show. It was just like, it was such a good time. And this last shot that you see before we go into kind of like the blooper scene is from a day off. It was actually the craziest hike. It was Lion's Head. It was totally empty, which never happens. Thousands of people hike this hike every day in South Africa. We had it totally empty, and we were able to get some crazy shots. So we used a lot of that footage to kind of show the B-roll of South Africa. Drew and Alex weren't there. And this final shot actually isn't Drew, and most people know it's not Drew, but you kind of just sucked into the vibe that you see someone that looks like a white male, and everybody, I think, just looks at it and is like, oh, this is Drew or Alex. But it wasn't. Fun fact and context about this last clip, which I don't think was driven home here, is Alex steals all the security's radio. Like, if you leave your radio and you're working, Alex is going to steal it and then sabotage the whole radio line. So there can be like 20 people that are like putting on the stage, and Alex is just like talking about some imaginary hot girl, or that there needs to be like pizza brought onto the stage, or there needs 80 packs of cigarettes need to be brought to the green room, or something stupid, and it's just always funny to see him sabotage it. So, and then this was a really cool thing that I didn't ask for approval on, but this is a touchy subject, but Drew was actually singing in the car the next single that was coming out, and he was kind of just practicing in the car, and I filmed it, which like, it's a new unreleased song. I'm filming it. Should I be doing it? Should I not? I obviously have trust with Drew and Alex, so I could do this. But I put it in the end of the video as like a teaser. And so for fans, this was your first official sneak peek at the next single, which is like a really big deal, and enhances the video. So I was very excited that they allowed me to keep that clip in there. And I didn't ask to do it. I just did it and then made sure that they watched the end and approved of it. And they did. And they loved it and wrapped it all up. So moral of the story, find artists that you vibe with really well, that give you a lot of trust. Don't be selfish in your video making. Include other people to enhance your video production, whether it's borrowing clips or asking someone to help you shoot. Touring is one of the funnest things. I'm so stoked to be able to do it. A huge shout out to every artist that's brought me on and has gotten me to this point. I pretty much work with all the artists that I even came up with. And it's because I love working with them. It's not about how big the show is or the money. It's just more if they trust me and if we can have a good time on the road. I don't see myself doing this when I'm older, and I think it's a perfect thing to be doing in your 20s, and that's why we're doing it. So thanks for watching. We got a ton more tours coming up. I'm going to Europe with them actually tomorrow, and we're going to shoot in Tomorrowland. So follow along on Instagram. I post a ton of stories behind the scenes. I mess with the security guards check all the time. If you haven't seen that, it's hilarious. And we'll catch you on the next one.